Just in case you've been wondering why you don't see a lot of young women going on dates or dating around, so to speak, I'm gonna give you a play-by-play of a really common conversation that I've seen on my own phone and also on my friends' phones on apps like Hinge and stuff. So it starts out and the guy will text you and he'll be like, hey, I think you're really pretty. Sometimes I don't even say that. Sometimes I just say hi, and it's like, and then, you'll say hi back or some sort of greeting. And if they complimented you, you'll be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, whatever. And then the guy will be like, okay, so, when are you free? And then you say, oh, I'm free Friday. And he says, cool, me too. And you're like, cool. And then he'll say, okay, so what do you want to do? What did you have in mind? What are you thinking? Who are you talking to? Because it's not me. I'm not planning this fucking date, bro. Like, you are planning it. Right? This is a dating app for dates. You have to plan the date. Like, I'm not planning the date. Like, I did not text you first and say, like, hey, I think you're really cool, let's go to this place. Like, you texted me, asked what day I was free, and now for some reason you're stuck at the second step and you think that I'm going to find an event and find a restaurant to go to and find whatever and send it to you. Like, okay, princess. Like, this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. And it's like, if this guy can't even figure out how to make a dinner reservation or find an event on fucking Eventbrite or something, or a little, indie band to see, I don't know. Like, I live in New York, so it's like there's so many events and all the time, so these guys have no excuse. Then why would I want to hang out with them? Why would I want to hang out with someone who needs their hand held like that?
Damn, bro. This is what y'all Gen Z men are doing? Jesus. Someone's like, they aren't lonely enough. If they can't plan a first date, they can't handle a relationship. Come on. Now, my only issue with this is that women have a lot of high expectations. They figure the first date has to be something extravagant, where you go to like a 5-star restaurant. And if you're just trying to get to know someone, that's not really the scale at which you want to start off with. You don't want to be seen as another come up just for a free meal, and then at the end of it, you just wasted your money and time for a date that didn't even go anywhere. I used to try to nudge them like, oh, I like coffee, how about that? And they'd ask me to pick the cafe, the time, and I pay for my own drink. I'm surprised they don't ask me what outfit they should wear too. Bro, where are the fathers teaching these kids how to properly court a woman? I don't understand. Like, how do you not know what to do next after this?
This might be a hot take, but Gen Z men and women are becoming completely incompatible, and it's the reason dating in our generation feels so broken. This is the first generation to be raised entirely by algorithm. Men and women get fed completely different feeds. A man's algorithm tells him his value is his income, his status, his physique. So he's grinding, comparing his bank account to other men online, feeling behind 24/7. The data shows that his #1 criteria in a partner is physical attractiveness. A girl's algorithm tells her to prioritize her emotional well-being, her career, her independence. She watches 100 videos about red flags and not settling. The data shows that her #1 criteria in a partner is emotional stability and kindness. So you have a guy optimizing for money and status to feel worthy of dating, and a girl optimizing for emotional safety and independence. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to find someone who you're compatible with in this day and age, but you need to be able to agree on a core group of values to build a healthy and sustainable relationship. But
I swear, the shit that people were pushing with the red pill content and also the whole independent women content, it absolutely just cooked our generation, and I think it's just getting worse and worse. Maturing is realizing our parents were right about our phones. Damn, that is so true. Red pill content is making sure Gen Z men will be easier to manipulate. I mean, that is true, but it's even making them more lonely, and it's also pushing this whole incel movement in the internet that's quite disgusting. I mean, look at Chuck the Builder.
Is this a safe space to gossip with you guys? Because what is going on with Gen Z men for real? I was at a Kentucky Derby themed party last week, and the behavior, like on paper, they did everything correctly. In real life was the hardest thing I think I've ever had to witness. I've never said this out loud before, but I think Gen Z men might actually be too far gone to be dateable at this point, because it felt like they watched one of those dating coaches, initiated all the steps, but just fumbled it at I need us to get into this. It might prove that a lot of Gen Z men don't interact with any women at any point in their day-to-day life. Okay, lock in women's fear story time. First of all, I was only at this Kentucky Derby themed fancy rich boy party because my friend was bartending it and she invited me to come along, and so I just pretended that I worked there and helped her. Listen, when I say I'm a side quest heavy person, this is what I'm referring to. Anyways, I walk into this event. It's mostly older people, right? But immediately there's this group of guys in their younger 20s. They see me. I feel like a gazelle that was just spotted in the wild. My cortisol levels spike. I'm being hunted now. For the rest of the entire event, I'm going to different locations in this place, and they're following me, continuing to stare at me, but never approaching. But eventually I'm half standing behind the bar with my friend, pretending to work and help hand her stuff, and these finance looking bros in their suits and cowboy hats, which it looks like they had on hand they did not buy for this party, so I'm already scared, approach me. Sort of. They come and stand next to me as if they're waiting to order something, but they never really do, and they're like breathing down my neck. Also, mind you, at this point, they've had like 2 or 3 hours of prep work to prepare for this interaction. Now, I didn't realize all the drinks at this event were free, so one of them finally comes up to me and goes, "The next one's on me." And I just go, "Oh no, I know the bartenders." And then they all look at me blankly. I didn't realize that was supposed to be their intro joke, and I immediately just killed it. And they clearly came with no follow-up, and because they're men, they're terrible in a crisis situation, of course. After that, you could have told me it was 5 minutes of silence or 5 hours. I couldn't tell the difference, but it was so uncomfortable because they just stand there staring at me to the point where I pretend to be on my phone answering emails now, and they're not engaging. Eventually, another one of them gets up the courage and says, "I see you're drinking a seltzer," and I go, "Yeah." Another like 3 straight hours of silence. No follow-up at all. Finally, one of them actually asks me my name. "Good job, boys." And they tell me their name is Eric. And I go, "Oh, so you're Nordic." And it looks like a bomb went off in his brain. Like he didn't realize women could know things. And he was like, "How did you know that?" And I was like, "Eric is a Nordic name. Also, we're in Minnesota." And he said, "Yes, but is it with a C or K?" And I said, "With a K, because with a K is usually Nordic." And he's looking at me like I'm blowing his mind for just giving him some basic facts. At this point, I'm carrying the conversation as well because I'm just so uncomfortable. Eventually, of course, the conversation dies for like the 10th time because I'm no longer picking up the ball, and there's just 7 more hours of silence. And then they ask, "Well, what's the game plan after this?" And I say, "I don't know, probably going home." Like, that's the moment in which you tell me what the game plan is. And they're like, "Oh, come on, it can't be the end of the night." And I was like, "I don't know." Again, they don't give anything. They're expecting me to tell them where we're all going now, as if I want to go with them. To be clear, I was not going to go anywhere with these boys, especially because my friends were working there, and they felt right-leaning, if you know what I mean. But I was just curious if they could land any baskets at this point. This is like not only watching a car crash, but then back up and continue to crash over and over. You can't look away. And then, of course, there's so much more silence. And then he asks if he can give me his number. And I'm like, "I'm good." But he's insisting, right? He pulls out his business card. He makes me take it. He's begging me to text him and call him the next day. I've never seen a man beg like this in my life. But I looked at him and I honestly said, "I'm not going to text you." I was honest. Like, dude, you left everything to be desired. Like, that was terrible from start to finish. It was so uncomfortable. You have no personality, no ability to hold a conversation. Why would I want to do this again at a different location? Like, it wasn't awful, but I think I'm actually convinced that they don't interact with women in any capacity at this point, because what was that? And maybe the worst part is that's one of the best interactions I've had with men out in the wild for a long time. Because the other alternative is they're weirdly just like negging you until they think that's gonna work. Like, why is the dating pool literally just, "I don't know how to speak to you," or "I'm actively mad at you and gonna show you right out of the gate that I hate you"? Hassan, please come pick us up. We're scared.
Wow, that is the roughest story I've ever heard in my life. But like, what can you do if you don't have a personality? These kids are not being taught nothing about that. They're just taught about just getting money, working hard, and that's it. Which I don't say it's a bad thing, but at least you need to develop those other skills as well, because you're interacting with people every day. And if you plan to start a family or even have a girlfriend, these are very important skills to have. You're touching on something important: personality. No one's teaching these young men how to develop their own personalities, their own genuine interests or passions, anything that gives them depth. They're all consuming vapid, shallow, but dangerous content that's telling them that money, showing off, looks, and possession are all that is needed. They focus on cultivating on those things, but at the expense of anything with depth, humanity, emotion, or life. There's nothing that separates one right-leaning, looks maxing, high-value, wannabe finance bro from the next. Jesus Christ. She did touch on a very important point there with the looks maxing, and you've seen how Curvicular, or whatever he's called, is out there completely bombing when it comes to picking up women in Europe. Oh my God, I couldn't watch that for the life of me. But yo, that's your leader. That's the people who you guys are following, as if he's actually leading you to the promised land, but y'all are out here completely clueless on how to even approach women.
If you're a man, go ahead and book that 304, I'm telling you, because it's Friday night. Let me guess, you want some, right? You're gonna go out to the club. You're gonna go out to a bar. You're gonna go out with your friends. One of your friends might strike out, you might not. But also, let's see how much you done spent, right? Let's say your Uber or parking, 20 to 40 bucks. Then, when you think about your drinks, you gotta buy you a drink. 15 for the girl. She might want another one. Or let's say y'all put it on bottles or whatever, right? Whatever the case may be, you already came in. You're about 40 deep just from the car, right? The drinks, another 50 minimum, another 50. So that's $90 right there, right? Then you probably bought a new outfit, or maybe you're wearing the same thing, but let's go ahead and put $30 towards clothes, right? You might spill some wine on your white t-shirt that you wore out tonight. Now you've been drinking, you've been doing this. Now you're hungry, so now it's 20 bucks for wings. One of the shorties that you talking to in the club, she hungry too. So it's another 20 bucks for wings for her and her friend. Keep in mind, you're doing all these nice gestures. You don't know if you're gonna strike out tonight. You don't even know if you're gonna get her number. And if you do get her number, is she gonna text back? She might text back and then she falls asleep. Or she goes to another guy that she met at the club. Because chances are you're not the only guy that she talked to. So now you done spent another $25 on your Uber home. So now you're home, you're lit, now you wanna do something. But guess what? That girl's not answering, but a 304 whatever. But now you don't got no money because you spent it all in the club on a girl who's not even giving you no return on your investment. At least with the 304, all you had to do is put down about $300-400. You got you an hour right there. Or you can get you a low end 304, 800 bucks. That's a whole night. And I say take the 304 route because if you go out to the bar or the club tonight, what are the chances that the girl that you meet is going to be on her own? And if she is on her own, she's probably a 304.
Y'all cannot be pushing this type of movement. Absolutely do not take this advice. And the amount of people who like this is crazy. 15,000? Hell no. This is promoting prostitution at the highest. Trying to justify like, hey, it's just easy just to pay rather than go out there and develop some skills to actually pick up a woman. I took your advice. I have a court on Tuesday for something called solicitation. This is a loser mentality on both sides. Absolutely. Because it's going to mess up with you psychologically and financially. Fellas, you do this and I promise you at some point the Fed's going to come and lock you up. I know someone who got 10 years for booking a prostitute. You know the rest. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are about Gen Z, men and women, and the whole dating situation completely going down to the shits. Leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. If it's your first time to the channel, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. And also, if you haven't, check out this video. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. But nevertheless, I'll see you guys when I see you. Peace.